Hi there, it's good to have you back. Welcome back to this episode of the Leeds Lobby. We've just hit 1,000 subscribers, which we think is absolutely cracking. Bearing in mind we started the channel on Father's Day. If you're enjoying the content, please go and hit that subscribe button. We want to get as many subscribers as we possibly can before the start of the season, and it's a real encouragement to see people out there watching the content. But before we get into it, just make sure you hit that subscribe button and like, and also comment. Let us know what you think about the things we're talking about on the videos. So what we thought we'd look at today was this whole idea of double pivot. And I actually think that there is a reason why we're not in for a left back right now. There is a reason why we have ample cover at the left back position in terms of how we're going to employ a left back in the new season. And what's key to that whole situation is the fact that we've just signed Roca and we've also signed Tyler Adams. We're now busting in that central defensive midfield situation. We've got various pairings that we can employ in there. We've got Forshaw we can employ in there. We've got various other players that were in and around. Gray, it could potentially be, and Bate could be in there. We seem to be busting in that area and also in the centre-back area. That actually has a knock-on effect in terms of the wing-back situation where we don't actually need to be signing extra players in that. And I'm going to explain how that works. What we saw in the Blackpool game was we saw a Junior Firpo who was rampant on that left-hand side and almost devoid of defensive capability and devoid of defensive jobs to do. In other words, he was relieved of his responsibilities in terms of his defensive situation with him being in the left back role, and I'm going to explain how that works. Now, if we are employing two holding midfielders, two central defensive midfielders rather than just the one in terms of Calvin Phillips, we're able to employ what we call a pivot. Now, the way that works is this: as a wing back, Junior Firpo or indeed Christensen on the other side are actually less responsible for the area behind them. What they're able to do is they're able to completely and totally bomb down the wing. They're able to cross over and they're almost able to go swashbuckling without worrying about that space behind them. But how does that work? Now, typically speaking, if Harrison or Firpo, I think Harrison or James or Firpo may be employed in a wing-back role. This is another reason why I think we won't be setting another wing-back on. We won't be bringing another wing-back into the club. We won't be bringing another left-back into the club because I think we've got ample cover with those three players in that particular role if we're employing them as a wing-back rather than a left defensive midfielder. If they go swashbuckling up the field and get exposed, or Firpo does a lunge in challenge and finds that by the time he turns, because he turns like the QE2, the player that's on the right wing of the opposing side is working his way down that flank. If we're in a situation where he gets exposed, what happens is Strauch comes across. Now, Strauch, we know, has played a left-back role for Leeds United, and he's also played centre-half. He is somebody that is more than competent, and he's a left-footed player. He moves across to fill and attack that space, to edge that player, that right attacking player out into the flank. And what he does, he provides cover for Firpo or Harrison or whoever's been exposed. Now, the problem with that is, historically, if that attacking player crosses the ball into the middle, we have a gap here, which isn't good, and we can have two attacking players coming forward, and they've now got a 2-on-1 with the centre half that's left. And this is where Roca and Adams come into play. Now, Roca, as a left-footed, centrally defensive midfielder, drops back to provide cover. And Adams basically stays whereabouts he is in order to pick the ball up and then be able to go on and distribute. So what we have is almost a rotation where Firpo goes up the field, he loses the ball, for example. Now Leeds are now out of possession and we're now into a defensive mode, a defensive transition. And what happens is Strauch goes over and covers and Roca drops back. That's what that dropping back of both, because it'll happen on the other side as well. It happens on the other side where Christensen goes forward, and Adams drops back. That is what we call the double pivot. That's the pivot where Roca or Adams, when we're in a defensive mode, will drop back and provide cover in that central area, allowing Koch on the right, who's also played right back, Strauch on the left, who's also played left back, to go and provide cover for the attacking left back, wing back, who's bombing up the wing. That allows and releases Christensen to be a more offensive player, and it allows Firpo to be a more offensive player. And then what we have is we have less responsibility on their shoulders as far as defending is concerned, and it gives Leeds United more attacking options and more of a dimension. People worry about the width that Leeds will have, but what they will have is he will have a Christensen that's much further up the pitch than we would typically have expected Luke Ayling to be, and we will have Firpo or Harrison much further up the pitch than we would have seen last year. Firpo struggles with his defensive responsibilities. He really struggles in those areas, but it does seem, looking at the Blackpool game, what do we see? We see him much further advanced, providing crosses, providing an assist, providing a goal. He can only get in the box if he's got cover behind him, and that's where Strauch and Koch, they actually move now laterally, and they move and cover these areas, and Roca and Adams, they're providing the cover for the back. This is how the pivot works. This is how we don't have a three at the back but can still employ wing backs. Hope you like the video. Please, by all means, comment in the box below, subscribe, like the videos, and if you find it helpful, you find it useful, you find it interesting, please, please, please make sure you subscribe and share abroad. We'll be doing more videos like this where we'll be looking in the future videos. Dan will be doing one very shortly, and that will be coming up probably sometime today. He will be talking about what inverted wingers are and how that also feeds into that. But thanks ever so much for watching.